Hello and thank you for joining us here at the First Alert Desk. I'm Maria Moreau. Thanksgiving is just around the corner. We are a week and 1 day away from gathering and celebrating over food at the dinner table. Hopefully some of you are reuniting with some family members this holiday. And a common family member that we often don't think about this time of year is our pet. And we want to make sure that you're taking your pet into consideration as you're planning out your festivities. So we have here Dr. Sarah Wooten. She's with Pumpkin Pet Insurance. She's our honorary vet expert for today. She's going to break down some do's and don'ts ahead of Thanksgiving. Doc, thank you so much for joining us here today. It's lovely to have you. I know you are the expert on all things pet care, so let's talk a little bit about why it's important to remember your pet this time of year.
Well, we actually see a spike in emergency veterinary visits surrounding Thanksgiving that are usually associated with something that the pet ate or stress. We see a lot of irritated guts, so we see a lot of vomiting and diarrhea. We also see GI obstructions because they ate bones. Then we see a lot of pets that are coming in with stress-related disorders. That's things like feline viral upper respiratory flare-ups due to stress, or litter box problems, or with dogs, destructive behavior. So there's some things that you can do to actually prevent that.
And one thing I wanted to include, we are going to talk a little bit about including your pet as well in festivities. And part of that is, we're cooking, we're taking all this time to prepare dishes that our family members and friends might love. But there's also a way to get your pet in on this and get them safe foods that are Thanksgiving themed, but it has to be in moderation and done a certain way. Can you explain that a little bit?
Absolutely. There are some foods that we serve around the Thanksgiving table that are definitely safe for pets, both cats and dogs. Cooked turkey meat. That is just the meat itself. No skin, no bones, no butter, no gravy, minimal salt and spices. That is actually something that is good for your pets in moderation. You can actually give them cooked turkey necks and giblets as well. You can do small amounts of plain cooked mashed potatoes with no butter, minimal salt. You can do plain cooked sweet potatoes, same thing, no butter, no added sugar, no marshmallows. You can also do some plain cooked vegetables, like green beans are very popular around the Thanksgiving table, but again, no bacon, no butter, minimal salt. And then you can do a few cranberries or plain cranberry sauce that doesn't have any sugar. You also want to avoid anything that has raisins or xylitol in it because those are toxic to pets. And then lastly, you can do small amounts of canned pumpkin as well, but again, no sugar. You could also do cooked pumpkin, but you want the rind and the seeds and the stems removed. Just remember, with all of these, moderation is really key, and any treats, even Thanksgiving people food, should amount to no more than your pet's 10% of your pet's daily caloric intake.
So there is a way to spoil them and get them excited about this holiday for sure. And have a little helper in the kitchen for those extra scraps that you're not going to use to feed friends and family. Let's talk about the dangers here. I know you touched upon some of them. A lot of it comes down to the way you flavor your food. You can't just give your pet the whole casserole, but they can have some green beans.
Absolutely. So a lot of these pets are very sneaky, and it's the food that is dropped, or maybe a guest sets a plate down and then your dog goes along and counter surfs it and then eats it. But the things that are really dangerous for your pet are foods that are high in fat. They're just not designed to process the fat the way we do, and it can cause a lot of gut irritation, and it can actually cause a potentially lethal condition called pancreatitis. So that is things like turkey skin, gravy, mashed potatoes or sweet potatoes with a bunch of butter, bacon. Also, I would put stuffing on that list because it has a lot of fat. It also has a lot of carbs, and many of the stuffings out there can contain toxic ingredients like raisins and nuts.
We're speaking with Dr. Sarah Wooten with Pumpkin Pet Insurance. If you have any questions, maybe planning to include your pet this Thanksgiving, drop them down below. We are on Facebook and YouTube Live as well as our streaming platforms. We'll be looking through your comments and answering those questions. So I gotta ask, Dr. Wooten, is there a certain amount of patients that you see, or an increase in pet patients that you see this time of year tied to the holidays?
Absolutely. We always see a big bump in our emergency visits for pets that have eaten something they shouldn't, like turkey bones, and then they have problems with those, or they've eaten the Thanksgiving enchiladas and then they come in and there's a bunch of vomiting and diarrhea. So we see a lot of gastrointestinal emergencies around Thanksgiving and Christmas as well. And then we do see these guys coming in with more stress-related disorders. They start tearing things up around the house, or maybe the cats stop using their litter box, and it's because they don't know what's going on, and so they feel stressed, and then they either manifest either physical or behavioral problems associated with stress.
And I'm glad you brought up stress, because that is an important part of this. You have a lot of people possibly over your house if you're hosting, or if you're bringing your pet to a friend's house. A lot of unfamiliar faces, a new environment, or an interrupted environment. What can pet owners do to help their pet this time of year? I know we talk about fireworks around the 4th of July, but Thanksgiving is a holiday that is also comes with an amount of stress that your pet can take on.
Well, being proactive and educating yourself ahead of time is one of the most important things. Knowing that the visitors and the people coming and going and all of the fun festivities can be stressful. It's fun for you, not so fun for them. So if you are at home with your pet, make sure that they have a safe, warm, quiet place to retreat to when you have visitors, where they have their bedding, their food, their water, their toys. For cats, a litter box. Sometimes it helps to put something that smells like you in there, like an old t-shirt. Sometimes if these animals get really excited, it can just help to put them in a crate with a long-lasting chew for dogs. So if you are having people over for Thanksgiving, make sure your pet has a safe, quiet place in another part of the house to hang out in. The other thing that's important is our routines get really disrupted around this time of year, and that's stressful for your pets as well. So you're going to want to make sure to maintain your routine with your pet as much as possible. Feed them at the same time of day, walk them, play with them, try to go to bed and get up at the same time every single day. And then if you are noticing that your pet's exhibiting signs of stress, this can be litter box problems in cats where they stop urinating or defecating outside their box, or maybe the dog starts tearing things up around the house, or maybe the cat's hiding more, or maybe the dog is shaking, or maybe acting a little bit more aggressive or hyperactive. There's a lot of signs of stress. Talk to your veterinarian about calming aids. There's a lot that you can get that are over the counters, something as simple as a thunder shirt, which is what you put on your pet. A lot of pets respond well to CBD oil. There are products out there like Angzitane or Zilkene, a lot of over-the-counter products that are good for the majority of pets. If your pet already has anxiety issues, the holidays are going to exacerbate that. So talk to your vet ahead of time about maybe some prescription strength help so that you guys can get through the holidays without any mishaps. Also, stressed pets are more likely to eat something that they shouldn't, or they're more likely to get into the garbage. Remember, when you're cooking and you're throwing things in the trash, to keep that trash secured and away from your pets and taken out and put away in a secured container, because again, they can get gastroenteritis and pancreatitis from garbage scraps as well.
And I think a lot of us have run into that trash incident. A lot of us pet owners, I should say, I have certainly through my time as a pet owner, some small moments like those that could lead to health complications. And I want to make sure we don't leave anything out. Should something happen, you know, over Thanksgiving, a lot to manage, hosting a family or visiting family, what should somebody do in terms of reaching out for health care for their pet?
If you notice that your pet's acting differently, or if you notice vomiting or diarrhea, or if you notice that they ate something toxic, and again, in that list of toxic things includes nutmeg, garlic, onions, raisins, chocolate, xylitol, caffeine, pumpkin spice, anything. If you notice your dog eats any of those things, call the vet or the pet poison hotline right away, because sometimes they can help you just at home and you don't actually have to take your pet in. It's always good to be mindful and proactive about these things ahead of time so you don't end up in the veterinary hospital with a $500,000, $700,000 bill.
Dr. Wooten, I want to thank you so much for your time. Of course, this full interview and more of these tips that we just talked about are going to be on our website. Share it with your family. Anybody who's hosting, they could probably use it if they're a pet owner, and it'll make their pet feel all that more special and cared after. Thank you so much, Dr. Wooten.
Absolutely. And for any more tips and advice, check out the pumpkin.care/blog. Thank you, Maria.
Have a good